Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to Celebrity Natal Charts. Today, we're going to be looking at the natal chart of Steve Martin, Leo Rising Leo. Grab a beverage, turn your fan on, make sure you are not out of breath and your laptop is charged, which mine are neither. I'm out of breath, and my laptop is not charged. So today we're going to look at Steve Martin. He was born in Waco, Texas, United States. Yeehaw. August 14th, 1945 at 5:54 a.m. Birth time accuracy excellent. Stephen Glenn Steve Martin, born August 14th, 1945, is an American actor, comedian, musician, author, screenwriter, and film producer. Martin came to public notice as a writer for the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour, and later became a frequent guest on The Tonight Show. In the 1970s, Martin performed his offbeat, absurdist comedy routines before packed houses on national tours. In 2004, Comedy Central ranked Martin at 6th place in the list of 100 greatest stand-up comics. Since the 1980s, having branched away from stand-up comedy, Martin has become a successful actor, as well as an author, playwright, pianist, and banjo player. Maybe having something to do with, like, that one movie. Eventually earning Emmy, Grammy, and American Comedy Awards, among other honors. Martin was awarded an honorary Oscar at the Academy's 5th Annual Governors Awards in November 2013. Was he not on Saturday Night Live? Is that not a thing? I thought he was on Saturday Night Live. I know he's hosted it a lot. This is more important than his astrology. I guess not. Yeah, right? Maybe he's just hosting. Because I remember the King Tut, because it's funny. And then, like, he has, like, something where he's, like, a football player that has, like, a gun or something. Which I thought was also fun. And the Two Wild and Crazy Guys. These Astro Charts biographies really, really miss the mark. It should be, like, Smothers Brothers, Two Wild and Crazy Guys from the Czech Republic. It's just two crazy guys looking at our bulges. So I like Steve Martin. He's kind of giving me like a second wind and enthusiasm to continue with this series. He is the Leo Rising Leo. Let's get right into it. He has the first house in Leo because he's a Leo ascendant, where he also has his sun, because that's how astrology works. Ascendant Leo, sun in Leo, also Pluto in Leo. So the fame is gonna get ya. So how's he gonna die from being famous? Too famous to live. The Rising Leo is like kind of an awesome position to be in. It's kind of like having like a linear trajectory in life. It's like, I've always been famous. I'm gonna be famous. Like, he was probably like the class clown in his preschool. Even if he was like deaf mute, like all eyes were on him, you know. So that's kind of his thing. He probably also had gray hair when he was a child. I've always known him to have gray hair. But like I always say, the first house, it's like your father energy. It's your self-esteem. It's where he gets his self-esteem from. So he gets his self-esteem from being famous. So if he wasn't famous, if he wasn't receiving awards, if he wasn't in the 5-time hosting club on SNL, he'd probably be really sad about it. You know, and I have this new term where it's like, your first house is like when you want to put your sunglasses on. So if you got a rising Cancer, it's like whenever you're like, somebody gives you a number one mom mug, you're like, okay, I'm good at being a mother. Put my sunglasses on. I'm awesome. Oh, you know, if your baby is having problems, you know, digesting food, or like, you know, their diapers are extra stinky, put a little bit of cereal in their milk, and I'll stop that. You know, I learned that from the mothering class. Sunglasses on. I'm a great mama. So it's like really good at being famous. So, use this publicist, you know, work with this person, don't work with that person, do this movie, don't do that movie. Like, knowing the ins and outs of the business, makes him feel cool and like popping his sunglasses on. His sun, you know, so it's Pluto being there. It's like, this him being famous, Leo, Pluto, first house. It's kind of like having Pluto in your 6th house or in Virgo, where it's like, you're going to work yourself to death. So it's like he's going to be so famous he dies. Maybe like goes on a trip to Mars or tries to perform comedy on the moon. I've been thinking about Eddie Murphy a lot today. I don't know why. I've been thinking a lot about Eddie Murphy, who I think is an Aries. Who was also on Saturday Night Live. and somehow like the movie Pluto Nash was making me cry. So that's why I think he might perform on the moon or something. But then so his second house is the cash cow house. If this was like the 16th century or 14th century, it says that he would make money off of like women. So he probably like selling women, like some type of like pimp, or like having a harem somewhere, much like King Tut, I guess. Or some like Shah, some type of Arab rich guy with a bunch of women that he's selling. He has Mercury and Virgo, which makes sense because he's the stand-up comedian. Mercury and Virgo, Mercury, Trismegistus, Hermes, the Hercules movie, the Disney Hercules movie, Billy Crystal. Like Mercury being a comedian, him having Virgo's ruling planet and Virgo, Jupiter and Virgo. He kind of has a shtick, like he's like annoying and persistent. Like he has like kind of the same joke, Two Wild and Crazy Guys. A lot of his movies are parodied and things like that. That's actually Leslie Nielsen I'm thinking about with Airplane, but um, so he's lucky. He was lucky to speak the way that he talks. Maybe he's lucky for not having like a super noticeable Southern or Texas accent for whatever reason. Lucky for his education. Is good at talking. Is an actor and a writer and a music and a singer. So that all checks out. What else does he have in Virgo? Nothing. So, okay. So, or selling his chastity or virginity. Like, is his, in the 1970s or 1960s, his humor might have been looked at as something grotesque or like cutting edge, but like now I would say it's like pretty tepid. Like, he's not going to have like the nastiest jokes in the world. He's not exactly like a comic jam or comic view type of comedian. Like he's not like a Lunel. He's not talking about slapping that pussy back, like in so many words. But he's kind of cutting edge. He's not like necessarily PC or whatever. But that would be his cash cow, is to be more PC. Maybe not curse as much. I don't think he curses that much. He's not necessarily Will Smith, but things like that. So like being clean, being like a clean comedian or clean talker, clean singer would do his finances very well. His third house is in Libra, so this means he talks really well or he sings really well. He follows the law. Where he grew up in Waco, Texas, which I was in my pre-recording of this, like my first take. I was saying like Waco, Texas, kind of scary. I know there was like some type of like tragedy there or something happened in Waco, Texas, and But so it says that, he maybe grew up around the courthouse, maybe he grew up around a library, maybe very close to a school, academia being very important, maybe music being very important. What planets does he have in Libra? He has Neptune in Libra, he has Chiron in Libra. So he's kind of like a misguided matchmaker. Chiron in Libra, it's like he can maybe point people into the direction of good relationships, but maybe isn't the best picker himself. Which I absolutely know nothing about his spouses or his relationships, which is a really good trait of someone being a Leo, because Leo's whole thing is like, de-emphasize the spouse, put me in the front. Do I have children? Nobody knows. Who cares about them? It's all about me. And he does have really good hair, so being a Leo first house is about having good hair. Is his hair 16 miles long and blonde? No, it's white, and he's like known for his white hair, and it's actually like a very like distinguishable trait of his is his hair, because he's a Leo. His mane, his lion's mane, his big white lion's mane. Which Pluto in Leo, so it's like he has like the lion's mane of like an older person. Like I've always known him to have white hair. I've never really even seen him with colored hair. I don't even know what color his hair is. It could be blonde, it could be brown. I don't know. It's white. He could have been born with white hair for all we know, or for all I know. So he's an old man. He gets off on being famous. Probably sold women in a past life. Talks and sings real good. And then, is maybe not so great at picking partners for relationships. Whomever is in charge of getting him on TV, or the Smothers Brothers potentially was a Libra. The Smothers Brothers seem like they could have had some like strong Libra energy, being like twins or whatever. Which, just because Libra is like the second tier of air signs and Gemini being twins. But it's also, they have like a duality, like before they gets to Aquarius, it's like the Gemini twins, and it's like the two sides of the Libra scale. It's very twinny. Um, Whoever got him on TV, whoever helps him cast illusions, so it could be like a camera guy that he works with, it could be like a visual effects artist or someone like that as a Libra, and they do great things for him, or just working with Libras in general. He has a fourth house in Scorpio, meaning that delving too much into like occult magic, astrology. So, Steve Martin doing astrology or tarot card readings wouldn't really do so great for his career. It kind of hold him back. It might be something that his mother is into or that his mother was into, especially with his moon being in Scorpio, emphasizes mother as well. He's got a moon in Scorpio. So let's like dial back a little bit. Like the third house, his manifestation style is being like real peaceful and nice. He doesn't really won't get too far in life being a diva. So him screaming and yelling at people won't really get him anything in this world. But if he's like very nice and polite and kind, it'll do better for him. And especially like with the longevity of his career. So it's like some assistant of his becomes super famous. Like, oh, I remember Steve Martin. I was working for him, and he was like very nice and kind, and wasn't a diva. And then it'll go down into the archives of his life. Moon in Scorpio, Scorpio fourth house. Mom might be some type of witch that put a gray hair spell on him. Who knows? His go-to emotion is vengeance. So he could be like I don't really know like his ethnic background, but he could be like somewhat of like a social justice warrior out here to help women. Maybe he finds like gender inequality upsetting, or like racial inequality. He could be like a strong believer in civil rights, and which like why would that be so crazy? But his go-to emotion is vengeance. So, he might hate everybody who's ever gotten an Oscar, or want to, like, he might be sitting there at the award ceremony knowing that he didn't pay the Academy for the award, and he's just like, why am I not winning? I'm going to go out and make another movie and win, vengeance will be mine. His fifth house is in Sagittarius, so it says that competitions, like, I don't see anything about cons or him doing art films or being an Olympian of any sort. So it says that competitions or being in competition with people would be a setback or a hindrance for him, which he doesn't really have any planets on this whole side of the zodiac. So maybe that was never a challenge, but if he did, or if he were to, he probably wouldn't do so well, and that's why he doesn't. And maybe he knows these things about himself. Maybe his mother was into astrology and was like, hey, do vaudeville, like do pratfalls, do vaudeville, be funny, you're a funny guy. You got a Leo rising Leo, this is your path. Fifth house in Sagittarius, probably find Sagittarius to be really attractive. Maybe he's dated a couple of Olympians. Maybe he's been in some of those Olympic orgies, from like the 70s and stuff. That's his fifth house. And then his sixth house, he has Capricorn. So if he were an Olympian, if he was to be caught up in some type of vengeful, petty competitions with people, the way that he would overcome that, or the way that he does overcome that, is by being really good at business. So, he has like, film producer credit, screenwriter. He's gotten really into like the money side of acting. That's how he heals himself. That's how he has enough money to go to the hospital if he needs to. And I think he's still in television shows. So if he's feeling upset or not young enough, or in comparison with people too much, he just gets to work. Puts on a suit and gets to work. And he is like a suit and tie type of guy. This picture they have of him, he's wearing a gray suit playing a banjo, but he looks like a man. You know what I mean? Like he looks like the little bald guy that's outside the men's bathroom. He's like a suit, tie on, gray hair, very Mr. Rogers. Very, I'm trying to invoke your trust by the way that I'm dressed, or invoke, or whatever, win over your trust by the way that I'm dressed. He has a seventh house in Aquarius, so this would say that a really good partner for him would be a Aquarius. So says astronomy. So says David Bowie. It also says that he's really good at attracting friends and friendship, and I don't know. I don't know for him to be like a comedic duo like David Spade and Chris Farley, or um, David Spade and Chris Farley. But I guess he would work well with other people. Like I kind of like when I see the Seventh House in Aquarius, it kind of makes me think of like Tim Burton, like always using Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter, like consistently working with the same people. But maybe those people that he's consistently working with are like people behind the camera or something like that, and they're buddies, and they do good work for him. Maybe he's good friends with Eddie Murphy. Maybe they're kind to each other. I don't know, but like maybe they're good buddies. I hope they are. I imagine that they are. He has an eighth house in Pisces, which says to me that like perhaps he's like Christian. I'm coming from like Waco, Texas, or whatever. So I was doing someone else's natal chart, and I kept seeing like the Pisces cult, like this. They had Pisces in their fifth house, and I was like, the Pisces cult is like sort of in your way. It's kind of a limitation. And we had like Saturn in Pisces too. And I was like, oh, Christianity, Pisces cult, the cult of the fish. So I think the cult of the fish kind of like keeps him away from occultist magic, tarot card readings, astrology, um, casting spells, and things like that. Like I think he's like very heavily protected by Christianity, Catholicism, whichever fish cult he's a part of. Um, I don't think he's like part of a guild of fishermen, but so if he's not part of a fisherman guild from medieval times, I think it's Christianity. Kind of protects him from other people hexing him, and kind of protects us from him hexing us. And I see the eighth house as the house of like wants, wishes, and desire. So maybe he wants to be more Christian. I was watching my new favorite show, Good Hang, the Amy Poehler, which she is kind of witchy. Like she talks about astrology and numerology and stuff like that. And it's totally not Steve Martin, but it was like Steve Carell, and Steve Carell was talking about watching the Mighty Gemstones. So maybe stuff like that. Maybe he watches Tammy Faye Baker, Mighty Gemstones. His name is Steve. His name is Steve. Basically the same person. It would be really nice to see Steve Martin, on Good Hang, I guess. This is not even about celebrity natal charts. This is just like a Good Hang recap thing that I'm doing on YouTube, because it did coalesce so like strongly while I was doing the Virgo videos, because she is a Virgo and she kept talking about Virgos, and then Idris Elba was on there and they're dressed the same. And I was like, look at astrology being real. So maybe also like he wants and wishes to be like more like a Pisces, isolated, religious, not garnering so much attention. And before Chevy Chase was known for being like racist on the set of Community, I always say this about myself, like as a Pisces with like a fifth house, the Sun and Moon fifth house, uh, Pisces, is that I call it like Chevy chasing it, like where you walk into a room and you start knocking stuff over, where you start like just like sucking up all the attention in the room unintentionally. So maybe he wishes that wasn't his life, or he didn't receive so much attention, so he can kind of like be more secretive and in the background, like a Pisces, like like Rachel Dratch, who was a Pisces, and I didn't know that she was a Pisces, and she sort of is like super Pisces, like the name, that she's famous, but she's not like this like mega star that's just like eclipsing everybody, right? And it kind of gives her more room play small parts, to play big parts. Pisces is a very mutable energy to be in, and not as strong and as pronounced as Leo. He has a ninth house in Aries, so it says like militarized education. He might have been in the military, born 1945. Maybe he was, 1945, where there's probably no, child labor laws, so he's probably like fighting in World War II as a 3-year-old or something, But it says like very organized education, might have went to college. If he didn't go to college, he probably was like, really good at self-educating himself. Probably wouldn't do too well in a long distance relationship. Long-term relationships would do really well with Aries. So like I said, like I like to imagine, he's like really good friends, has been really good friends with Eddie Murphy for a very long time. And they're best buddies, and they get tea together, and they crack jokes, and they're hilarious together. I don't know why. I just want that to happen. And if that's not true, maybe he should be. Maybe he should be long distance pen pals with Eddie Murphy. And he has a 10th house in Taurus. So 10,000 Horses, like he's destined to be rich, or some type of like cattle herder, cattle driver, playing the banjo, very like bucolic country things. Maybe he'll move back to Waco, Texas one day, but it's like his destiny to be like a rancher, like a cowboy. Um, maybe open up a grocery store like Jimmy Buffett. What's his name? Warren Buffett. Play the banjo like Jimmy Buffett. Be a wealthy, like Donald Trump has stakes, like Steve Martin stakes. Be a wealthy cattle herder, or just be a wealthy cattle herder and have his name in grocery stores, like Warren Buffett. And it was like Paul Newman salad dressing. You never know. I would eat a Steve Martin steak. Why not? As long as it's not made out of him, I'd be happy to do that. But it's also like his reputation. So maybe he does have like a strong country accent that he fights. Like once they call cut, he pops on like a cowboy hat, puts like a piece of straw in his mouth, and he sounds like John Wayne or something. Um, that's his 10th house. His 11th house is Gemini. His 11th house is Gemini. Gemini. So he has a Mars in Gemini, so he acts like a Gemini. He has Uranus in Gemini, meaning that Geminis have created boundlessness and openness in his life. And I always associate Gemini with being like queer folk or queer as folk. So, maybe he acts a little light in the loafers or limp in the wrist, and that has done very well for him to not be this like roaring lion diva, which it's like, oh, like he kind of like he has like the reputation and the prominence to be like a diva and a jerk. That's the name of the movie, The Jerk, I think. He has like a big nose, maybe Roxanne something. I have no idea. I love Steve Martin. I'm a big fan. Know none of his movies. It's like the one where he's like, when I was born, I was a poor black boy. Is that Steve Martin, Leslie Nielsen, something like that? Which would make sense. So the 4th house in Scorpio. Let's look it up. Let's not be ignorant forever. Okay, so one thing, he has had spouses. Victoria Tennant, who is a person. She's September 30th, so that's like September 30th. That's like Libra, right? He seems very age appropriate. She's born 1950, so I think he's like 5 years older than her. They were together for a while. I feel like I've looked up this chart before, talking about people being appropriate ages. 1972, this other lady, she's a little bit on the younger side. Anne Stringfield, or Stringfeld. She looks like she was in Cabaret, maybe? Or something like that. Excuse me. I just burped a little bit. I don't know. Doesn't say her birthday. It just says 1972, so she's kind of an enigma. She might be a witch. She might be like a Scorpio or something. She looks like a Scorpio. So that's his spouses that he's completely eclipsed. Like that woman doesn't even have her birthday posted anywhere. And then acts like a Gemini. Something else I wanted to look up, but I forgot now. After looking that up. I know, is Steve Martin Eddie Murphy friends? Well, speaking of Friends, honorable mention, Leo Rising Leo. I want to do Matthew Perry, because I'm always talking about the show Friends. We're in the 11th house right now. But I just want to do more like living people or live people, and stuff like that. So I chose Steve Martin. Matthew Perry's character, Chandler, being on the show Friends, is always accused of being gay. Sort of it seemed like the Tennessee Williams secret gay character, but like off camera, on camera. Also Demi Lovato, Gillian Anderson, Scully from X-Files, and Hulk Hogan. I definitely should have done Hulk Hogan. That seems like very interesting, but his movies. Oh yeah, let's see. His movies. Okay, yeah, Jerk is a movie that he did. So in 2016, he did a movie called Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk, which I have no idea what that's about. Love the Coopers, which seems to have Diane Keaton in it. Home, which is like an animated thing in 2015. The Big Year with Jack Black and Owen Wilson. It's complicated. Oh, the Pink Panther 2. Love. It's complicated. That has Alec Baldwin in it. He shot somebody, and Meryl Streep. Pink Panther 2. I love those. I love those movies. I thought that was so brilliant that he was able to do a movie where he's like a French character who only speaks in a French accent and never have to actually speak French. I thought it was brilliant and hilarious. Baby Mama with Amy Poehler and Tina Fey, so maybe they're friends. Pink Panther 1. Cheaper by the Dozen. I loved that movie growing up. Shop Girl, I don't know what that is. Some Looney Tunes movie. Bringing Down the House. So he's here for the brothers and the sisters. Bowfinger with Eddie Murphy. So maybe they've been friends since 1999. And Bowfinger. I know things. Out of Towners, I watched that recently. Out of Towners is very similar to, I think, like the Tina Fey and Steve Carell movie where it's like date night. It's like almost the same thing as Out of Towners. I remember that. The Spanish Prisoner, Sergeant Bilko, Father of the Bride 2, Mixed Nuts, A Simple Twist of Fate. He's like a lot of great movies. Grand Canyon, House Sitter with Goldie Hawn, Leap of Faith. So there's him doing God, I guess, maybe, I don't know. Him being Christian. My Blue Heaven, Christianity, Parenthood, Dirty Rotten Scandals, and also like Cheaper by the Dozen is a very like family friendly movie. Roxanne is a movie where he has like a big nose. Planes, Trains, and Automobile with John Candy, so it's like maybe him doing a comedy duo. Little Shop of Horrors, Three Amigos, he's a good friend. Good comedian, good friend, lonely guy. The Man with Two Brains, seems kind of Gemini. The Jerk, The Muppet Movie, Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, Pennies from Heaven, I don't know what that is. Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid. Okay, so yeah, he's great. We love him. He's had a lot of amazing good movies. A lot of great friends. Him and Eddie Murphy are best friends. So that's his 11th house in Gemini. Maybe he talks about himself a lot. Maybe he talks about his movies that he's done. There's a lot to talk about. He has a 12th house in Cancer. So I would say the 12th house is like the house that makes people miserable. So maybe like mothers. So, maybe like complaining PTA moms and his SNL jokes might have made him miserable. Maybe his own mother. I see kind of like some tension between him and his mother with his Scorpio 4th house and Moon in Scorpio. Maybe she was like too much into Christianity. Maybe she was like too much into occultist magic. Maybe she was a little bit of a hypocrite, like, going to Christian church and then practicing voodoo at home, and maybe it like made him feel a little bit weird. Maybe it made him feel a little bit unlucky. He has Venus in Cancer, so maybe he has like a weird relationship with women, or maybe he's like very feminine and very nurturing and very motherly to people because that's his like attraction style with Venus in Cancer. So he's like, I'm your mother. And it's somewhat of a setback because of Saturn in Cancer. So maybe he wants to be like a tough guy and more masculine, but he's sort of like feminine and soft. And that kind of makes him miserable and is a setback. And everybody thinks he's gay or something. Yeah, so it's a 12,000 Cancer. Cancer, not his friends. Geminis are his friends. Let's look at 1945. The Rooster. Born in the year of the Rooster. The Ruther ranks I have a list. I'm the Gemini. The Rooster ranks the 10th among the animals in the Chinese zodiac. Let's see. There's like a story or two. I think the Rooster is carried by the dragon. In Chinese culture, the rooster is often regarded as a symbol of perseverance, hard work, punctuality, timekeeping, and being alert. People born in the year of the rooster are usually self-assured, confident, and ambitious. They display dedication and discipline towards their task, often striving for excellence in whatever it is that they do. I guess it should be known that I've taken a really long break in between doing the Arnold Schwarzenegger one and this one, so my speaking skills, my Libra, Gemini, Virgo energies are very low right now, and I'm having a hard time speaking. I like to hear about like the little myth part about them like running the race. Like what they were doing in the race. Like my favorite story right now is Pig. For the longest time it's been Monkey and Rat You know, because rat just carries on the back of the ox, and then the pig is like, race, who's racing? I'm gonna eat, and I'll show up when I get there. Screw that Jade Emperor. Okay, this is like travel China guide. This actually had like some really good. This is what. Oh, and the goat too. And the goat was like, I don't think the goat. They say, I guess like everybody ran in the race, but the Chinese people unanimously were like, yeah, goat. He taught us about rice and millet and grain, and we would like be unevolved, starving, ghost-eyed people without the goat. So he has to be in the calendar. Um, and they say that monkey didn't run. That's the thing that's being carried by the dragon. So it's like, I think it's like the goat. I think it's like the goat, the rooster. I don't know. There's like different stories, obviously, but I remember monkey is like one of them. And even you see like Sun Wukong and Dragon Ball Z, like Goku or Gohan riding on top of the of Shenron, the Eternal Dragon, being carried to the Jade Emperor or King Kai or whatever allegories they're using in Dragon Ball Z. That he was just like carefully carried through the race to victory. But also there's another story where it's like similar to let me see. Where it's like there's like an African tale, or it might not even be African, it might be like a whatever its origins, I don't know. But it's like similar to a tale about like the mouse and the lion. Like the mouse pulls a thorn out of the lion's paw, and then the mouse and the lion are like best friends. Where it's like the monkey had done something to heal the tiger, and then so when the Jade Emperor's putting his calendar together, Tiger's like, oh, I got to do a favor for this monkey because he helped me out. And then the tiger was like, I fucking hate the monkey because he's like such a goofy, Rafiki weirdo, and I have to share this calendar with him, and I'm sort of mad about it. Okay, Jade Emperor had a race to decide the zodiac cycle. The rooster was not among the top 12 winners, but it came in 10th place due to its determination and perseverance. So I guess it like Tanya Harding somebody and was like, I don't know. Or this is just like, Google being wrong or something. But it's like, according to the Chinese mythology story of the rooster Chinese zodiac, the Jade Emperor held a great race to decide which animals would be included in the zodiac cycle. The rooster was not among the top 12 winners, but it came in 10th place due to its determination and perseverance. So it sounds like it like whacked somebody, right? Like it like came in as like number 13 and then got rid of 2 people. Let's see what else this might say. That doesn't make sense, right? Legend has it that on its way to the finish line, the rooster encountered a river and used its well-known ability to fly to cross it. However, the monkey, who came in 9th place, tricked the rooster by offering to carry it on its back, the common theme in this race. And I love how also, like, there's, like, no, like, there's a lot of, different accounts of what was going on in this race, too. Like, oh, the dragon carried the monkey on the back. Monkey was never in the race. Monkey's only there because Tiger was his friend. It's very, like, seems like very real. When they were close to the finish line, the monkey jumped off and crossed it before the rooster. Despite this betrayal, the Jade Emperor was impressed by the rooster's determination and awarded it the 10th place in the zodiac race, giving it a spot in the Chinese zodiac. So this is very similar to like the rat and the ox, but it's kind of different because like the monkey was like, "Hey, I'll carry you across," but then it's like, "I'm not gonna let you win. I'm not gonna let you beat me after I just carried you across this river that you said you could fly across and you couldn't really do it." Like such a, I was like, I don't really know chickens and roosters to be like the greatest flyers in the world, but that could be like a new world connotation of roosters. Anyway, thank you so much for liking, sharing, subscribing, and listening to me ramble about Steve Martin and the Rooster and Eddie Murphy and Matthew Perry and Friends and X-Files and Hulk Hogan. Because let me tell you something, brother, I actually really enjoyed making this video as I've been taking a long hiatus and was really dragging my feet to do it. Thank you for also listening to me mispronounce words like freet, as I get my bearings back and getting into making these videos. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.